from a personal experience as well as professional knowledge to help young people think different about breaking intergenerational cycles of poverty. Great. So we're going to pull up the PowerPoint, please. Wonderful, great. And all of our contact information is here. If we could go to the next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned, today is going to be an interactive workshop. We're going to get up, we're going to brainstorm, we're going to ideate and think about ways to break the intergenerational cycle of poverty. We move on to the next slide. And for those of you who are online, we highly encourage you to not only take notes, but as we do these different activities, you can drop your comments in the chat and also share with us your big dreams and ideas. So to get us started, I thought it would be really important for us to understand poverty. So the first thing we want to share is absolute poverty, which is not having essentials like food, shelter, and health care. So when we think of poverty, oftentimes this is what comes to mind. And the global poverty line is $2.15 per day, and that was quoted by the World Bank. Relative poverty then is when income is lower than set compared to most. So for instance, in the United States, we actually have a federal poverty line. Some countries actually have a set poverty line so that they can understand from a data perspective those who are living in poverty. But what happens in really wealthy countries, people living in poverty often feel isolated in their homes, in their neighborhoods, and in their communities because many of them can only afford to live in certain neighborhoods. Then there's multi-dimensional poverty, and I'm so happy to be here today because the panel just before us talked about the multi-dimensional approach as humans. We're not single-issue people, we're multi-dimensional humans. And so when we look at poverty, it's important for us to look at health, education, access to quality living conditions, and according to the UNDP, 1.1 billion people face this kind of poverty. Move on to the next slide. Wonderful. So the root causes of poverty, and again, many of you know this, but this is just a friendly reminder to get our minds prepared for this ideation session. So systemic inequalities, again, that last panel talked about this, that in our various countries and our various countries and cities, there's unequal access to opportunities. We also have conflict and instability. So 70% of extreme poverty occurs in conflict area countries. And climate change. 132 million more people are going to be pushed into poverty by 2030 because of climate change. And last but not least, the lack of education. Each school year increases the income rate of an individual by 10%. For every school year that's completed, they increase their income by 10%. So as I mentioned, all of us here on the panel today are all first generation college graduates. And so through our bachelor's and then ultimately we all have master's degrees, we've been not only able to break that intergenerational cycle of poverty, but we're hitting income levels that our grandparents and parents have never been exposed to. Let's go to the next slide, please. All right, so many of you know that no poverty is one of the #1 priorities for the United Nations. So we actually want to show a short video to share about the United Nations perspective on reducing poverty. Gentlemen are getting it ready. prep you, so for those watching online and everybody in this room, you can replicate the workshop we're about to do in your community center, in your city, in your hometown, at your high school, at your community college. So feel free to take notes, because we want you to be able to use these tools that we're teaching today to really unlock poverty in your communities and neighborhoods. So we have sticky notes, which you're gonna see. We're gonna have you guys get up here pretty soon. We have our white paper all around the room. You can see struggle wall, breakthrough wall, and then we have our markers and wall space. So we're gonna get up in just a few moments, so get ready. This is an interactive workshop. No more sitting down and just listening to us talk. We wanna hear from you about your ideas. So let's check one more time if the video is ready. If not, we can move on into the workshop. Okay, one more second. Panelists, facilitators, anything that I missed that you'd like to share with the group?
I would just say, as Tracy did mention, it is all about you guys. We are just gonna be facilitators, so it's really about you guys brainstorming, creating that vision that you hope for. So please come with ideas and just try to be as honest, no judgment at all.
I think just to highlight what was said here was really take this opportunity to express your voice. If I was a kid in middle school and high school, I wish I had these type of opportunities. As Tracy was mentioning, I grew up in poverty myself. I grew up in South LA, and I experienced many struggles, whether it's getting access to higher education, getting access to healthcare, having to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go to school because my parents had to be at work at 7 a.m. So I would have to be at school early too with them. So really take this opportunity to be present, make your voice heard, because trust me, there's a lot of us that wish we had these opportunities when we were younger, but you all have that opportunity now, and take advantage of it, because it's gonna really set you up for your future, not just in your career, but just your personal life too. So really take this moment to take it in.
Beautiful. The video, are we ready?
Right now.
Okay. While he's getting it ready, Ali, would you share a little bit about your first generation college graduate, and you also worked in Peru for Peace Corps, and then you also did work with the AmeriCorps.
Yeah, I would like to share, as Tracy shared, I am first generation Latina, daughter of two immigrant parents that came to the US. One of the things that I do specifically remember is my mother put us in after school programs, which in one way here in my elementary school was where you go when your parents work after a certain time because your mom and dad aren't home yet. So I remember going to a lot of that, and then when I went to college, I started to engage a lot in after school programs, being a mentor. I believe a lot in youth to adult mentorship and kind of adult to senior mentorship, that chain as we continue. Because when I graduated with my bachelor's, I had this dead set of becoming a nurse. That was like the path I was gonna take. And a mentor of mine, through talking to a professor, she encouraged me to apply to the Peace Corps. And for those of you that are familiar with the Peace Corps, it's a 2-year international program where you work with community outreach, community engagement. I fell in love. I stayed there for 4 years. COVID was the only reason I came back. And I still continue to do some of that work in civic engagement now back in my community, because I believe a lot in sharing your story. I'm not a Latino, but I am a Latina. I'm a firstborn here. There's different identities that each one of you represent, and there's someone out there that wants to hear a voice that only you can give. So that's my part.
Woo, thank you. Woo, round of applause.
All right, one more check on the video. If not, we're gonna move right on. Are we ready? problem. You know what, let's go ahead and move on in the PowerPoint. If we have time at the end, we'll watch the video. But this is the United Nations video that's focused on helping us understand their number one priority, which is reducing poverty. So let's move on with the workshop. If we could pull up the PowerPoint, please, that would be wonderful. And apologies for the technology difficulties and delay. But what we want to do now is we want to get you brainstorming and thinking first and foremost about what are the barriers to why people struggle in poverty. You can think about your own community, your own story, maybe your parents or your grandparents. If we can move on to the next slide. Great. So what are the biggest barriers to creating generational wealth in your community? We're going to actually have you come up here in just a minute. Everybody's going to get a couple of these yellow sticky notes. And what we want you to do is write one idea per sticky note. What are the barriers to generational wealth in your community? One idea per yellow. You can write as many ideas as you want, and then you're going to take your yellow sticky note and you're going to put it right up here on the struggle wall. And then Lupe and Daisy are going to help you organize. So if everybody could come up here, and then our facilitators are going to pass out the yellow sticky notes. Bring a pen or marker with you, and we're going to spend about the next 8 to 10 minutes. Again, write down as many ideas as you can of barriers to generational wealth in your community. And if you're online, you can drop comments in the chat. What are some of the barriers to building generational wealth in your community? Go ahead and drop that in the comment section. Okay, we have our Ale.
You need any more?
Okay, we have Alejandra, our facilitator, is writing down the comments that people are dropping in the chat. Alejandra's writing down the comments, so drop them in the chat, and she's adding your comments to our struggle wall.
That's the next one.
This is very exciting. Again, you can write down as many as you like. I'm going to read a few as people are writing. We have teenage pregnancy, lack of access of information of resources, capitalism, trauma, lack of education skills, poverty, lack of assets. There's no wrong answer. Keep adding as many ideas as you like to the barriers to building generational wealth in your community.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Okay, and don't go too far, you're welcome to stay up here, because our next activity is gonna be up here on the breakthrough wall. Lupe and Daisy are gonna start organizing the themes here in just a minute. And you can keep your pens and markers, because we're gonna do the second activity in just a moment.
Sorry.
Did you already write some?
Yes, I already.
Okay, wonderful. As you're wrapping up the struggle wall, thank you, and keep adding, actually, even as we move into the next step of this activity, if you think of other barriers, use that yellow sticky note and just keep adding them. In just a minute, Lupe and Daisy are gonna start organizing them into themes, so we can look at some of the trends and the barriers to building generational wealth. Again, people online, you can replicate this activity in your community center, at your school, or out in your neighborhood. Wonderful, so let's move on to the second step of this activity. Let's move on to the next slide. And I know we have our friends and family over here wrapping up a few comments. Now we're gonna do the breakthrough brainstorm, and this is where the brainstorming, the ideation comes in. Now we wanna hear from you, how do you want to build wealth in your community? We want you to dream big, we want you to come with your bold ideas. And we're actually gonna have, with the pink sticky notes, and the team is gonna pass out the pink sticky notes. It's one bold idea per sticky note, and you're gonna put that on the breakthrough wall. Now, here's the key. There's no wrong idea. There's no bad idea, big or small. We wanna hear from you, what's a bold idea or ideas to break intergenerational cycles of poverty and build wealth in your community. So if you can get your pink sticky notes from our facilitators and start putting your ideas up on the breakthrough wall.
So much, yeah. Yeah.
Free education, free skills, more school, more health, care facilities, clean drinking water. Stop placing blame on impoverished folks. Diversified investment, financial literacy, foster wealth, building your mindset. Here's some of our online. Motivate people to go to school. Capacity building, public awareness, improve education, free childcare, food security, financial education programs, trauma-informed practice. So Daisy and Ale, if you could start grouping them into themes, that would be wonderful. Okay, Gustavo's gonna walk around and see if there's any last minute ideas or thoughts that you wanna add. Again, there's no wrong idea here. Dream big and bold. Well, again, if you're online, keep dropping your ideas in the comments and we'll make sure that those get added to the breakthrough wall. Great, okay, so the facilitators now, what they're doing is they're grouping ideas into themes, into concepts. So for those of you watching online and for those of you in the room that want to replicate this in your community, they're putting the themes together, and in just a minute, everybody's gonna get to vote on your top 4 favorite ideas. Okay, you're gonna pick your top 4, so if we had endless money and there was 4 projects we could fund in your community, you're gonna get to vote on those top 4, and then we're gonna start working through how to build out those solutions. So the idea here is that you're gonna walk away today with tangible next steps, so that if you wanna implement one of these 4 ideas in your community, you can. We're gonna encourage you to take pictures of the struggle wall, the breakthrough wall, the ideas and co-creation concepts that you're about to develop. This information is for everyone. It's free. We want you to walk away from here feeling empowered. So just give us a few more minutes while they finish cataloging the categories, and then we're gonna have you come vote. So they're picking the themes. Okay, so now the next part of this activity is you get 4 votes. So get your Sharpie, your marker, your pen, and you get 4 votes. You're gonna put a little star that shows that that's your vote. Now listen, here's the great thing. If there's one idea that you love, you can give it 4 votes. If there's 4 different ideas that you love, they can get 4 different votes. It's up to you how you want to use your votes. This is a democratic process, and we want to hear from you. What are the 4 most important things for you? So I'm going to invite everybody to come up and start voting on your top 4, and you're going to do that again with stars. If you have any questions, the facilitators can help you.
Wait, okay.
All right, here come the voters. Now you can also do this activity with sticky notes, stars, little sticky Post-its. We just say make stars because it's easier. So 4 stars for your vote.
Mark the star.
Once you're done, make sure to get your mark.
Yeah, you're saying you can draw a star for your fourth favorite thing on the board. Yep. Welcome. No problem. I have a card.
Our school, our
I have no idea where it came from.
so it's kind of just
For online.
I did too.
I first saw it on a TV show when I was like 10. But I think not a lot. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm kind of messed a lot of things.
I suggested music on day one, and they started.
You got it? Did you find it? I didn't tell them the white part. But we tried.
Governmental reform. Are in LA? Oh, cool. Where?
Like downtown, like below downtown. So it's
Like
like
south?
south of downtown.
And you're staying with them right now?
Yeah.
So when did you wake
so
up?
sorry. There's no way I'm paying for a $40 Uber. They have. I'll go grab them real quick.
Okay, we're finishing up voting our democratic process.
Everything is so I mean, for school.
Yeah,
We're not from here.
but neither of us are like
You're from Turkey. Where do you live, like the Bay Area, like San Francisco? Yeah. Oh, I went to high school in San Francisco. Oh, yeah. Originally, I'm from Turkey. Oh, yeah.
I'm from here, Colorado.
All right, awesome. Okay, the votes are in. If the facilitators can start counting votes, I know we have a few more people voting. This is so exciting. So, from your votes, we're gonna take the top 4, and the facilitators are gonna break you out into 4 groups to actually start building the solutions to 4 of your breakthrough ideas. So this is where it gets really fun. So we kind of got your brain moving. What are the struggles and barriers? What are the big, bold ideas? Now we're gonna start answering the questions. So while they tally up the votes, we have a few more voters. We can go to the next slide. All right, so as they tally up the votes, we're gonna break you up into 4 groups all around the room. And in small groups, you're gonna start to work through these bold solutions. So you're gonna ask questions such as, who would benefit from this idea or the solution? What resources are needed to build this solution? How might it be funded? And what's our first step? So that first panel I felt like that was a great conversation to get us thinking about how do we empower youth in our community? How do we come alongside them to build a team of people solving these problems? And we have the young woman from Honduras who asked that amazing question, how do I get people to support my idea? This is the way that you do it, is you get people from all over your community to brainstorm with you on how to build. So we're gonna ask these questions, and then here's the coolest thing about it, is you can also draw an infographic, a motto, a picture, an explanation of what your bold solution is gonna do. So team, are we ready with our 4? Did we get our 4 votes? Okay, they're still counting. All right, they're still counting up the votes. We're almost ready. This is like the democratic process. It takes a while for the votes to get counted so we can figure out who's gonna be president, who's gonna be our elected official. Again, so as we pick the top 4, you get to choose what group you wanna go to, right? So you get to choose which group you're gonna join, and you're gonna work through these questions again. Who benefits from your idea? What resources are needed? How might it funded, and what is the next step? So we have group number 1 is education. We have group number 1 is education. Group number 2 is improved mental health facilities, Group number 3, trauma-informed practice. And then our final group, what's our capacity building for the community. So you get to choose which group you want to go to. Group number 1 is education. Group number 2 is improved mental health facilities. Group number 3 is trauma-informed practice. And group number 4 is capacity building. So go ahead and join one of the facilitators for those groups, and they'll walk you through the next steps for about the next 15 minutes. So if everybody could join a group. So we have education up front, mental health facilities in the back, trauma-informed practice, and capacity building. And at the end, we're going to do a report out to everybody on the solutions that you built.
Can we get the question?
Thank you.
So yeah, you guys and then there will be 1 or 2 people that will present what you guys are discussing.
Anybody want to add on? What Okay, so for the community, okay, so invest. Ownership, okay, good. Investing was something that was highlighted. Empowerment, Good, okay, so here's the thing. This is great things that we can inspire. What would you do to make sure that the community is exposure, okay. So like, how do you expose it? This is a very important part.
For our participants online, you're welcome to start brainstorming on a topic that's important to you, or one of the 4 topics, which were education, mental health facilities, trauma-informed practice, and capacity building in the community.
So if we want to do something. Because if you want the training programs, they're also skill Yes, it's diverse, right? So it's not just but everything you need to be that would probably be the first step. What else do I want? Yeah, so that goes back to who benefits. Who benefits is people that are from the community. So benefit. Does anybody want to, before we move on, what are the foundation and does anybody else think that? Okay, so we're
I'm kidding you.
Right, so many different topics. I think for now.
Okay, we're gonna just take a few more minutes, 2 to 3 more minutes, and then we're gonna get ready for presentations. 2 to 3 more minutes, and then we're gonna get ready for the presentations.
Okay, good. We're at the front, we have 2 minutes. 2 of your representatives. What would be the
Okay, let's take about 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Make sure you choose who's going to be your spokesperson or spokespeople to speak on behalf of your group. Okay, let's wrap up final comments. Okay, so now it's time, the moment you've all been waiting for. You want to hear from the other group, so we can go to the next slide on the PowerPoint. Let's have everybody come up to the front of the room to group. We're going to hear from group 1, but we want everybody to come stand around like we're at a big rally. Now the facilitators are going to pass out these blue sticky notes. The blue sticky notes are if you have a comment or an idea. Okay. Grab some?
No.
Yes. Okay. No more sticky notes? Okay, so this is the moment we've been waiting for. This is our pitch session and gallery walk. Everybody come up to the front here, group 1. So let's come up to the front. So the blue sticky notes are if you have an idea
So these will be
or
for
a
feedback
comment. So let me
or
give you an
questions that you may
example.
have.
Group 1 is going to present there to us. But while they're talking, you might have another idea that you want to build. Or maybe you have a comment about something you're doing related to their work. Use the blue sticky note to write down your idea. And at the end of your presentation, we're going to put our blue sticky notes up to show them some love, but also to give them more creativity to build on that idea. So we're going to do this for each group is going to share, and you can just drop your blue sticky notes as we move around the room. So group 1, Lupe, who do you have as your spokesperson? So if you can introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from, and tell us about your big, bold solution.
Thank you. My name is Sherry Bright. Born in Cameroon, raised in the UK, now currently in the US. So mixture of cultures and background. So our big solution to, eradicating generational or breaking through, generational wealth, we spoke about education. And we in our team, discuss understanding that education is one of the greatest means to eliminate poverty. But even before we go into, the solutions, we even found problems while trying to bring this out because, depending on the country and society and culture, the problems differ. For example, education might be a problem in the US, but not somewhere else. So it was also just kind of like hard to bring that. But I'll just do a few, then I'll pass it on to the rest of my colleague. So I'll just put it here. Right, so we spoke about advocacy, awareness, something like this conference. A lot of people, yes, not. Anyway, I'm going to use a local slang. In some countries, especially Nigeria, I've heard people say school na scam. In other words, you would go to school and after having a degree, there's nothing. So in other words, don't go to school. It's a waste. And why do the youth say it's a waste? Because even after receiving a certificate, it's a struggle to get a job. And most times what you've studied in school, it's not what you're doing. You go job search over job search over job search, and however, there's nothing for me. So more of those to say, I would say, I think it's like a notion of African youth, like there's no need to go to school. And I think it's also why I've understood that most African youths, and not just Africa, in other parts of the world, engage in like computer crimes, because it's like, what's the need of going to school and not having a job after that? I've wasted my time, wasted my money, so let's find a quicker way to do this. So creating awareness, showing that it's not just, because a lot of people think when you come to school, it's just learning the knowledge and all that, but education is more than that. There's a mental building it gives you, just sitting, interacting with people, you learn cultures, and for example, the fact that I, did primary high school in Cameroon, University in the UK, and even here at LLM, I've been able to like understand people's culture better and certain things, and it gives you an exposure, beyond your niche. Sometimes we think what we see is only one step, but when you take a first step further, so advocacy, awareness, and I think it starts from teaching young children from a very early stage that listen, education is important. It's not just learning how to read or write. There are other things you would learn, like networking. How do you engage in business, for example? And think just like programs like this, we've been taught how to tailor an idea, which sometimes you wouldn't be finding there. And then we spoke about geographical accessibility of, the quality of education in most parts of the world. And like I earlier said, one of the struggles we realize is that depending on the location, the struggle differ. Of course, in America, a lot of people don't really have a problem with access to education. But in other parts of the world, like parts of Asia, Africa, sometimes to even find the roads to go to like some very remote villages, it's horrible. Like there's no access. Like I think a few weeks ago, I saw on the internet on Instagram where there was this young lady, very passionate about her community. She wanted to do something, and people were interested. They wanted to support, but the journey to go to that place was so far. And these are some of the challenges. So if we can get like geographical access, and we spoke, it's not just about education, we spoke about the quality. What's the quality? We want an updated curriculum, the resources, IT, for example, computers and all that. So I'm just gonna pass it over because we're out of time, but thank you.
That was very well said. And also, the first thing that we got was free education, as free college, as like the post-it. But like I think that's a more like American-centric issue, because I think yes, we don't have like, I'm going to speak for like the U.S., but yes, we do have access to educate, like grade school education on the grand scheme of things, but I think higher education in this country is still a very prominent issue. And some things we discuss pertaining to that include like mentorship programs, like for people to navigate the system and learn how to access that education, as well as funding for these programs, including like lobbying to the government and like scholarship programs with different NGOs. And then another thing we talked about that I wanted to mention, my friend from Honduras mentioned that in the area there isn't local
like, she suggested that education be more localized to the area that it is in, for people to navigate their own area. Like, for example, if you are in a more agricultural area, to get education for that, tailored to that area so that you can succeed where you are instead of it just being standardized no matter where the location.
Thank you.
My name is Ada, I'm a student here, I'm from California.
Thank you, woohoo! Team one, awesome. So sticky notes, did you have an idea, do you have a comment, you wanna cheer them on? Write it on the blue sticky note and drop it on education. And now we're gonna move to the back, to the capacity building. So let's all walk to the back of the room. I told you we were gonna walk around and be active. And we'll be wrapping up this session in just a few minutes.
Wait, it's like lunchtime already?
All right, capacity building, Gustavo, do you have your two presenters that are ready? Okay, let me give you the microphone. And if you can introduce yourself, that would be wonderful.
Hello everyone, my name is Amanda. I'm an organizing team member for IYC. I also go to Cal State for my MSW. So we're talking about capacity building, which basically we wanted to focus on how we want to make sure that local communities are able to grow within. And we want to enhance their capacity through investment, empowerment, and ownership.
Hello, my name is Hussein Bojan. I'm from the Gambia studying in Switzerland. And I've got a little bit of what she said. Okay, we list some of the things that we want to, that will have an impact in capacity building. And the first one was training programs. So we want to stick with training programs. How will we make sure we use training programs to make sure capacity building is like, is ensured, so we come up with partnership. How will we get partnership? How will we get our community partnership? The first step is community engagement. Okay, these are rural areas, like very far distance from some places. So we are going to get the community together, maybe even small vendors, let them engage, they can sell something and maybe they donate back to the community. We will use to make awareness. We can organize something as this organization did, to make sure that the community is aware of what is happening. And how would we fund it? We have donations, we can come from anybody. We have local partnership. We can partner with local organizations, private schools to make sure that, okay, you are a private school, we want to build a road here, why don't you give something else? We want to build a study organization for your students, why don't you do something else? We want to build a market, we want to build well. So they will also want to engage in where they are benefiting from. And we also have NGOs, we have public institutions and private institutions. I personally believe that we are not putting most pressures on private institutions in most rural areas because most of these private organizations are billionaires. I will take an example of a company, Shell. Most of its base is Nigeria. Nigeria has a lot of oil, but Shell's GDP last year was more than 15 African countries combined. While Nigeria is always in shortage of oil, so it doesn't make much sense. I believe when we put more pressure on Shell to make sure that, hey, you guys are being billionaires because of Nigeria. What are you guys doing for Nigeria? There was a Chinese company in my own country, the Gambia. They were mining something that I don't know the use of it. I should know it. It's my country. I should benefit from it. So I believe some of these things, when we put pressure on them, it will help build capacity building and it can have a great impact in the world and most of it in rural areas and developing countries for third world countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wonderful job, team. We're so proud of you. Listen, I am so sorry, but we are out of time. They gave me the time. So groups 2 and 3, we can talk to you during lunch. If you guys want to hang out with your group 2 and 3, they can present to you during the lunch break. I want to thank all of our facilitators. All of our contact information is on this last slide. Woo! Thank you, facilitators. great job. And we want to turn it over to our MC for the day. Thank you. This has been a wonderful experience. Oh, take pictures, share, stay connected with each other, and take this information back home. Thank you, and continue to have fun at the conference.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, facilitators, for such a wonderful workshop. I really enjoyed the interactive aspect, and it really brought a lot of issues and their solutions to light. Okay, if everyone can listen up just really quickly, I have a few announcements about lunch. Okay, so there is food at the Ackerman Student Union that is available for purchase. It is right over here. Please be back by 1 o'clock. The next panel starts at 1:30, but before that, we have an activity that will begin at 1. So please be back here by then. Finally, if you're interested in being interviewed for our social media about your experiences and your insights, please head to the blue couches near the IYC background right outside, or find a team member and we can help you with that. Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your participation, and we will see you back here at 1.